Hi, welcome back to another lesson. In our last lesson, we look at how to style our application and how we can call a component inside another component. We as well explain what a component is. Just like I said, that it's just a piece or a chunk of code or part of our application, and it could as well be the entire uh, page. All right, so now we want to look at how um, we can create more components. So this time around, I'm going to be uh, building a very simple application so as to make it to be easy for those who are just learning React. So in this case, I'm going to delete or change my button to something else, but the first thing I want to do is that I want to explain structure to us. When you are creating an application, you need to follow a particular pattern or structure that is well known to you. It's not as if React has a particular pattern or structure. Remember, React is not a framework, it's a library. Just like unlike Angular, that it has its own pattern, or other frameworks that has pattern. But React doesn't really have a pattern. It's just like a procedure that you just follow, and this is just it, from your app to index, from index to index.html, and that's just it. So you can structure your application as you want in React. That's one of the biggest strength of React. All right, so now, but the way I want to create my own, I know that we have a button here. I'm going to make sure that all my own components that I'll be creating are inside a new folder that I'm going to create. So I'm going to create a new folder inside my source src, and I will name it components. If I like, I will decide not to create a new folder and just make sure everything is down here as it is inside the src source folder. But I want my own thing to be structured. The new component that I'm going to be creating, I want all of them to be in a particular component, okay, in a particular folder. So that's why I'm creating a components folder, and I'll be creating my files there. Now I want to create a new component right here, and what am I going to name this? I'm going to name this nav bar. So you can use .js, you can use .jsx, depending on whatever you want to do. So let me use .js for now. So we're going to have navbar. Then I'm going to create another file, another component. I'll be coming back to add things inside all these components as I'm creating them. So I'm going to have another one that I'm going to call about.js. Then another one, new file. I will name this education. I will name it education. Oh, I made a mistake. Education, I'm going to rename that education.js. Then I'll add another one that will be for the user's experience.js. Then I'll have skills for the user skills that the user has, skills.js. Now we have created our files, so we now need to make them a proper component by start creating the functions. So I want to start creating the functions inside our components. Yes. All right, now to create a function, uh, we are going to look at different ways to create a function, even from JavaScript to React. All right, so here when we're creating button our button function, we did export default. So let me cut this out, let it be like a normal JavaScript function as it ought to have been. All right, so let's use this method so that we know that our function is on its own. So we don't need this again. We're going to take it down for now. All right, so let's assume this is our function. This is a normal function in JavaScript. Here down, it's a normal function. Then at times our function, if you look at it now, our code did not break, it's still there. At times a function may take parameter. Say maybe we have the button takes name as a parameter. So if we do this, now we can pass in the parameter into the button whenever we are calling it. Maybe here now we now have click me, then we put the name. We are calling a parameter like that, we put the name here. So click me name. So while calling the button right here, you can see it has broken, say module build field, because we have a syntax error. Okay, this one breaks because when we're typing it has nothing, but yet it's not returning anything because we have broken something in the code. So now the button, when we're calling the button, we may have to say probably maybe name equal to value like this. Let's see what we have. If that is this, okay, so we get an error. Let's see what it causes. All right, this is props, so we need to make it props, that is property. So in our button, we are calling this name is equal to value inside button, we need to change this to be a prop. So I'm going to make this props, then I will call this props.name. That is what we want it to return, so that what we have done here by saying name is equal to value, so it should work by now. Yes, that's it. Click me value, that's it. Okay, so we have our application working. That is function with properties. All right, so now the next thing we're going to be looking out for is other components that we have. How do we create functions apart from using this method with a function with groups? We can as well do this like this by saying, let me delete this. I can say I want to convert this to an arrow function. So if you want to use an arrow function, then we might need to change the way our function is being created. So this time around, I don't want to delete this return. The return will still be there. So I'll only change the way it is being created here. So what I will do is that I will say, rather than saying function, I will change this to be constant button is equal to, then we have our function here. So arrow function takes this format, That's it. Our function is correct. So we have constant button, then this function, arrow function usually be like this. It will be empty if we are not passing any props into it. This is how it will look like, constant button. So this is arrow function from right here down. But because it has parameters, so this is where we put the parameter, then we put props inside it. So it can take multiple props if we want it, but this time around this is what we are dealing with. Then we have our application still working. All right, now let's make use of that with all other things that we're doing. So what I'm going to be doing right here now is that my app.js, I'm going to change all what is inside. So I'm going to change what our app.js is to be a div with container, right? That's good. Then this one is not going to have anything for now, but we can leave out our button. Let me leave out our button. Let me take away this. I take away this. Okay. Now we only have our button. Let's see. You can see it's only our button that is inside. But what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to start with navigation bar. Our navigation, we're going to have, we can use function as we have it before. Function navbar. See function. I'm going to be mixing it together. Then what will the function navbar, what will it do? The function navbar is going to return, don't forget it returns, the function will always return something. The in between is what it is returning is your GSS. So this time it's going to be returning GSS. So what I'm going to do is that in React, whatever you are returning, make sure you start with a div. Otherwise, you are going to get an error. Some people, they use this method by using this before they start putting their HTML elements, or at times you can use React.fragment for this opening and closing. You do the same thing like that, then you can now start putting maybe your paragraph tags, your h1ref, or whatever you want to put inside. But all well and good, if you start with div, React will understand it and make everything work as it is. So here is a class div. The class of div will have a class name that will be a container. Yes. I will make sure that every component is in its own container. Then I will now paste my navigation code right here. How do we get navigation code? You can make use of Bootstrap to do that. So I will search here, right here, and type navbar. So you can see how it works. Let's go there. So here we can see the code that we're going to manipulate or edit to suit our purpose. But at least let us copy this at first and paste right here. I want you to see the way I'm going to do this. Now remember that React, we're going to comment this input. That's not why we do input in React. Then the HR, I'm going to comment that part as well. Then we are using class here. The code we copy is a raw Bootstrap code that is using class. So I'm going to now do a find and replace all by replacing. I will also change this one to be class so that it will be uniform. I press Ctrl H on my system. So we are looking for class and change it to be what? Class name. Okay, so we click on this to replace all on this file, and then it's going to replace every class to class name. With that, we have done with our navigation for now. We're going to be editing our navigation menu later on. So that is what we're going to have inside our navigation. Then inside our about, we're going to be having our code. So inside the about us, so I'm going to create a function about. So let me put it down because I'm going to do some importing here. Function about that will return what? Remember, just make sure you follow the syntax. Return, terminate. So your function is going to return a JSX, which you start with what? A div. So you start with a div, and then you now put other things right inside the function. Alright, so now let's say for instance we now want to import an image with this about us. So I'm going to create a folder here inside the components, name folder, and call it images. So right here I'm going to put my images. So let me look for one image that I can quickly copy this image for instance and put it inside this source components images and paste it right here. Okay, so right now if I want to make use of this, I am going to import the image and use it in my code. So I think I'll have to first of all do that. So now if I go to my code, I'll come right here and say import let me say my pics from, then where is the image located? I'll put dot slash, then it's showing me the folder images slash then the image. So I have imported the image and store it as what? My pics. So if I want this to return the image in my div here, I will have this. I said I'm going to be having every component inside its own container. So inside the container, then I will have another one called section. I'll create another element called section so that it is inside the section that so let's say I want to put image for instance inside here. I can create an img tag and then no, you don't do that. So img src equal to, in React, remember I told you that we don't reference directories directly. What we do is that we call it as an object. So right here, for me to call my image, I will call it as what? The source is going to be this, and I will put my pics inside. That's it. Then we close the image. Okay, so that closes the image tag. But yet there may be some things that I may want to add into that. I think the reason why we are getting this error is probably we might need to image source name here. Yes, you don't need to have closing tag, but rather there is another get here. Okay, so that's it. We have our image get imported. If we come into our app.js, I import about. Let me import about for you to see. See, import about from. You will see that our code will look for the component slash about. Then we can now go ahead and call the about. Let me call the about before the button. Very soon now we are going to take off the button. We don't need it anymore now, except if you are going to be calling inside any of the components. Okay, we have one error, one warning. What is that? Let's see. Okay, export default about. We have not exported our default about. So here I'll come right here and say export default about. That should fix the problem. Okay, so we have our image. You can see it right here. So that is how you bring in image into React. So let's continue. We might need to make some adjustment to the image width and height and things like that. And forget, remember, don't forget, I said what you can do is just to, you can style that directly here by using this, and then you put your size inside it. So I can just say width is what, 200 pixels, and that should also fix the height automatically, and that is it. We have the image. So that is how we edit the image as well. Now let us complete the entire code for the about us, the education, and everything like that. Okay, now we have our about function in full. We have all the JSS returned now. Now you can see it returns a class name container, a div, and then a section class name. We give it about and the ID of about. We're going to use this to be navigating from the component. We're going to be using ID to navigate from one component to another component. But this is just a Bootstrap class, that is a paragraph that is going to be for X and Y. So you know we have X, we have Y axis that is going to allow is a padding of top and bottom. Then we have another one, container fluid again, that also have padding of 5. You can change all this. This is a style. We know what this is, and this is NBSP ampersand, like a non-breaking space, a space. If you want to create a space in HTML, you use NBSP. So because HTML only accepts only one space in your code, it will only recognize one space. If you press space like this, it will only recognize one. But if you want to have multiple spaces, then you have to use ampersand NBSP comma semicolon to have that. Then we have this ampersand LT. LT means less than sign. Ampersand SP semicolon less than sign, and then we have GT means greater than sign. We are just doing that to recognize each component when we display our page. Then we also display the image. I import the image as me. I've changed it from my pics to me. Then I call the me here. I give it a width 200. I give it a Bootstrap image fluid image thumbnail. We can just say rounded. I forgot that. Rounded corner of a Bootstrap. Let me see. I'm not sure it is taking effect. It's not taking effect. I need to check Bootstrap for image. How to for styling images, and then allowing it to have a responsive image. You can see that we have responsive images. So here you see some things you can add to your image, some classes you may need to make use of. Yes, I am correct, rounded. So maybe the spelling is correct. Yes. Okay, but probably maybe this img thumbnail is somehow having another thing apart from rounded, so we might need to make the rounded to be first there. If that is what we want, then let's see if it is going to have effects on our application. Okay, I think it's having it, but the image thumbnail is not allowing us to see that. All right, so let's move on. Then we have div class. All these are just normal HTML that we have entered here and exposed for us to see what we have inside. All right, so then we now have a path. Here we have just this one is just normal button. It's not a button component that is going to download resume. And looking at this, we want it to be like we have events on click. As when they click on this button, what should you do? Call a resume function. And where is the function created? It is created above here inside the function. Before we return, we are creating a function, constant resume is an arrow function, and what will it do? It's going to open a window and display a CV that we have inside our Google Drive, and comma is going to do what? Display that on another page. How do you do that? If you go to your browser, open your Google Drive, you must have uploaded your CV into your Google Drive or any file you want to open for users. So let's say, for instance, I want it to open. Let me look for a file here. Okay, let's say I want it to open this file. I will right click on it and then copy the link. That's it. So if I do that, I can come to my code and then replace that with the code. That is it. Let's see what happens if they open this. Now I think we might need to do something. I think when we open this, okay, anyway, let's go on and see what we are going to have. Okay, so this is the page. It's showing the resume now. If I refresh that and click on the download resume, it opens on another page and open the file. So that is it. That's how you point it to a file in your Google Drive. So I said you window.open. This is a normal JavaScript that you open another tab, and you should put it in a blank space, and then another Windows tab, and then let it open. So we call the function, this is function, we call it inside the button and tell the button that it should do what? These are the attribute, last name, resume, just give it background color, period. Then on click, call the function resume to do that. So that will open to our page. Then we are now going to move on to education. We have also done that. We have created the function. We have its constant education. This time around we are using arrow function. So the function only just return GSS, that is our normal HTML, to display things. We just make sure we give it ID of education, and then we list out education details. That is what we have inside it. Then experience. Inside the experience, we created the function, and then we return our normal GSS. See, experience, and that's all. This time around we are using card. So that is what we have in experience. Now our navbar, we have done that before. But then our navbar is just for us to see what we have done. That's the only thing, except if we have not exported the navbar. So we need to do export default navbar. So that is it. Then for skills, we have skills. We created the function skills, and then we return all these GSS and export it. All right, now let's go on to our app.js and arrange all these things. We already have the about, and as you can see, it's showing the about, but we need to show our navbar here. So that means navbar is supposed to come before the about. So we're going to go home there now and call inside our app.js. We'll import the navbar. Say import navbar function from the component and bring in what? The navbar. That's it. So let's do the same thing. So I'll just come here, copy and paste the import. To import everything, I'll just start changing. So here, navbar, here we're going to call after the navbar about, then the next thing should be education, and here too, education. Then the next thing should be experience, then skills, all right, now let's call all of them here. Like I said the other time that we may not need this button again. We could have just used it for that download, but that we did inside our about, but we have done everything, we don't need it there. So we have called on we need to call the navbar. Okay, so now if we come here, we see the navbar. You can see. So we are coming back to edit it to be functional. Alright, then after the navbar, we need to call, we have called about, so the next thing is education, then experience, after experience, skills. Alright, skills. Okay, so now if we check our page, we're going to see everything down there. Let's go ahead. This is about me. Then when you scroll on, you see education details, you see experience, you see skills, and on like that. Now let us make use of our navigation to link from one page to another. So we're going to go to the nav. This time around we are using bookmark link. That is a link within the same page. We are not going to be using router this time around. So later on we are going to do another one that we are going to use router, but let's use bookmark link this time around. So now I'm going to go to the nav bar. Now I will look at the structure of the nav bar. You know, it has the nav brand. This is where this one actually, rather than showing nav bar, is supposed to be your application name. So this one I'm going to say, okay, well, this is a portfolio. Okay, yeah, I remember there's something we have not done too in the index. We've not changed the title. React app is what it is. We change it to portfolio app. Okay, so that's what we change. You can see portfolio app, and then here it has changed to portfolio. Now home, when they click on home, it should bring them to this about. Then others should now be here. Well, if we now want to have home, we can have home here that when they click on it, we have a message that will display that maybe welcome or maybe your summary and things like that. Okay, so if I come right here now, I can create another component inside my components. A new file, I will call it home.js. What will the home return? The home will be, let me use arrow functions, constant home is equal to this. And this. So what will it do? It's going to return, don't forget parentheses, and then don't forget that you have a div first. Though you can start with session directly, doesn't matter. Let me start with session. Let me look for one of these. Our, I think, education. Yeah, we have this there. So I'll just copy something here and change it to what will suit my needs. Okay, so I just want to make use of some things here. I will say this is home. The ID too should be home. Then we need this h1. We don't need this, all these, the column, this one, I'll take it away. That's the first one. So this div, okay, I need them right here. So here we're going to have just h1 with some content right here. So let me see. Okay, this column is h1. And here, rather than having this to be education details, we can have it to be summary. You just say summary. Summary. It should be summary details. So I want it to be summary details. No. Summary is just summary. Alright. So now our home, so we have it to be id home. Alright, so that we can pick that from our, so it's going to be the first thing on the so we're going to have maybe h3 right here. Let's see, a front end developer with many years of experience. Okay, many years of experience. Right, let's just have that. We can fleshing it up later. Then we go to our app.js. So after the navigation, we're going to import the home. Say import home from /component/home. That's it. Then we bring in our home after the navigation bar. Okay, that's it. So now by coming here, okay, we have not exported that. We need to export the home. So let's just come here and do what? Export default home, and that's fixed the problem. That is it. We have it. So this is our summary. The front end developer with many years of experience. Then about, you see a picture and your name, education, and things like that. All right, That is fine. Now let us adjust our navigation so that when they click, it goes to a particular component on the page. So we do that by coming right here, navigation. So on the portfolio, it is going to be /home. We have an ID home for the home. This is it. Section ID is what? Home. Okay. Then that is for the home. Now here where we have the home, we do the same thing for that. So it's going to be /home. Then this one that says link, we're going to make it about us, and the navigation link will go like /about. So we have to confirm that in the about we have ID about as well. ID about. Okay, that's it. Then go back there. That is for about. The drop down, we don't need drop down this time around. I'm going to take it off. I don't need drop down. All our links are this one that is disabled. We're going to remove the disabled. Then it doesn't have href. We put href there. So let's just copy what we have here and leverage on that. So this will be for what? After about, what do we have? Education. So we're going to say this is education, and also here education. Okay, education. Then we have to check the education component. If the ID is education, that's correct. Then let's go back to the navigation. So we need another li here. So I'm going to copy and paste the education and change it to what do we have? Experience. So in our experience, what's the ID? The ID is project. So let's change that to project. Okay, then we change it to be experience. Okay, that's it. Then let me paste that again. We have for skills. So skills, and then skills. So let me check the skills component to see the ID. The ID is skills. Okay, now let's check if our menu is ready. Okay, you can see we have all the menus now. Then if I go to skills, then it takes me to skills. So if I should go, so you can experience, it takes us to experience. Okay, so that is how we navigate through our application. But in case, on the final note, in case if we want to dynamically render any of these contents, taking for instance these programming languages in our skills, we can dynamically render that by going into the skills. Here I'm going to remove the UL. I'm going to, let me cut this, and then from there we're going to go to the what is it called, the skills, and render it as a list. So how do I do that? I'm going to create it as an object. inside, it might be inside the function, it might be outside the function. In fact, I could just create it as another file and import the file right here. But I can say, okay, let's assume we don't want it to be outside, we just want it to be inside. So I will say constant skill is equal to, then I can do, say it's an object, and right here, now if I paste that, I'm not using it like that, I just use it as an example. So I will create skills and say okay, let me use my hand to type it because this is too much for me to edit. So I can say HTML is HTML, comma, CSS is CSS, comma. You can see that I'm making the key to be small letter and make the value to be capital letter. All right, so CSS, then we say coding. JavaScript is coding. I'm just doing that. Say, I'll say it is what? JavaScript. Okay, comma. Then UI. I want to quote Bootstrap. You can use any quote if you like. Bootstrap. Okay, comma. Then we can say RE with this we are going to be, we might not be able to generate it dynamically with this. So the best thing for us to do is to say, to use title or true. So what I will do now is changing this to be title. I know there's a way we can work with this, but I want us to make it simple as much as possible, and then it will know the purpose of even taking it out initially and use it as a new object. So I'm going to say here is an object of an object. So this would be, array of an object. So this would be this bracket. Remove it here, put it here. Okay, now each one will now serve as a new object. So that is why I said we'll just use title for each one, like that. Okay, so here title for this particular one is HTML. So the same thing will happen here. We have this one too to be title. Let me just copy and paste this time, so that then another one here. Title. This. Title. Okay. Then here. Okay. So here title. And then we close the last one. We don't need to put comma in the last. Okay, so we have created list of skills in this case.
Sorry, did anyone call me now?
So now,
No, sir.
What we are going to do now is that we're going to now look for how we can uh, bring in this data as a dynamic data. So what I am going to do now is by saying right here constant list of skills is equal to, so that will be skills, our skills up there, dot map. Map is a function in JavaScript that returns array of title, you can see as a string. So it's going to return the array of skills into our list of skills. Okay, so now I'm saying product map. So it's going to map it into what? Like individual skill. Say skill. Map individual skill as what? As a list of skills. So this inside this one, inside this, let me terminate this. Inside this skill, I will now say display what? Display return li of what? Li skill. Return li skill. The skill, return it. So here is going to be okay. So let's see what we will get here. So list of skills will be return li and then the skill. The skill, since it is a React something, so it has to be in brackets. Now inside this place we'll just say okay, our UL should just return the list of skills. Okay, so this is the same thing as if you are using for loop. Say for each a variable. No, this is just like we're creating a variable skill and say this one should return what? Should return that as a skill. Alright, so let's see if anything has broken in the skill. Okay, so it's showing the list of skills now, and that is how we display our items in a list. Thank you very much. All right, a quick fix. Now that we have this, we are having an error. We check, we have error. So what's the cause of the error? In React, the first thing is this one. Number one is that this is an object. It has key and value. So we are supposed to access the skills with the key, which will be skill dot title. And then another thing that we need to do is that every list in React must have a unique identifier. Though it's working now, but yet if you check your log, you will see in the console I did inspect, you will see that we are having some errors here telling us that we need the two children with the same key. We need to have a different key with each item. So what we need to do is inside our li here we expand and then we say key is equal to, then it will be skill dot title as well. How do you mean we have id? We can use id But since it is just a title and we have different items for the title, so we use the title, and with that we have been able to generate a unique key for each item.